Hello Year 7. This video will demonstrate how to complete steps 9 and 10 of the task. In step 9, you're asked to identify between 5 and 10 examples of what you consider good shots in the section that you've chosen. So when you identify a shot, you have to make a label in PowerPoint and name the camera angle, the shot size, and the camera movement using the correct terminology. And there's an example on the task sheet to show you what that should look like. So eventually what you'll get in Shotcut is a label like this positioned on the second video track of your timeline, and you'll position your label using the size, position and rotate filter. So I'll show you how you can use PowerPoint to create these labels. So in PowerPoint, I've got one made already. It's just a text box. So you go Insert, Text Box, you draw a text box, and that's the label that I've already used. So I'll find another shot that we can identify. So I know that this shot is the camera is slightly low angle. It's just below the character's eye line, and it starts off as a medium shot. And what the camera does is it slowly pushes in towards the character, and it pushes in all the way until we get right up close to his eyes. So there we go. So we could call that an extreme close-up. So that's what we have to make the label to identify. So the first thing we said was it's a low angle, medium shot, pushing in to an extreme close-up shot. So you've got all that terminology in your booklets, and once you've got the terminology written down, what you can do is to make the label a little bit more visually appealing. So you can use the shape format features here to select a color to fill in the shape. I'm going to try to make this one match the one above. So you can put a border around your shape, and you can change how thick that border is. Of course, make the size of the font large enough to read clearly, and you can also choose a font that you think looks nice. So I'm choosing that one, and you can change the color of your text as well. Okay, and there's some other features up here where it says shape format as well. You can put an outline around the text as well. So you can keep fiddling around with this until it looks really nice. And you get a nice label. Once you've made one label, you can just copy and paste it and just change the text. So there we are. So in my example, I've got the font called Harrington. It's in bold. I've got uh, around the shape a border of weight 2¼ points, and I've just put an outline as well around the text and just made that outline very, very thin. So once you've done that, what you need to do is to save your label as a picture. So this is a little bit tricky, and Year 7s have had trouble with this part before, so you just got to be careful. If you click on the text box right on the border and then right click on the border, you have this option to save as picture. So I'm going to click on Save as Picture, and I'm going to find the folder that I've used or that I've made for this assignment. So I've got my previous label in there already, and I'm going to name this one exactly what I've written down here. Low angle, medium shot pushing in. I might just shorten it a little bit. That'll be enough for the label. So when I press save, and now that is ready to import into your playlist in Shotcut. So you can see I've got some in there already that I've made previously. So I find the easiest way to import things into Shotcut is just to open up your File Explorer and drag and drop them. Okay, so here we are. That's the label that I've just made. Dragging it into there and then finding where it belongs on the timeline. So dragging it down, got to find where that shot begins. So it begins pretty much right after the previous one. Get it in there and extend it along the timeline until the shot finishes. Okay, so then what we need to do is to reposition that so it's not in the way. So with the label selected on the timeline, we go to Filters, Plus, and it should already be in your favorites column. If it's not there, you can just type in the word size and select that filter, and we now have the ability to resize it and reposition it somewhere where it's not going to be in the way. So remember, this will be shown, um, this will be quite large, so it's okay if it's that small. And just make sure that that's fine. So it doesn't get in the way of the character's eyes, and that's perfectly fine. Every time you do add something to your project, keep saving it. Shotcut does an autosave, but it seems to be a little bit hit and miss. So your task is to identify, like the task sheet says, between 5 and 10 examples of what you consider good shots. You don't need to go beyond that. It's not going to improve your mark if you identify every single shot or 20 shots. Just aim between 5 and 10. So you're going to use the same process to identify the mood that the music conveys or some meaning that the music conveys. So exactly the same process. If you don't have any music in your selected clip, you won't be able to do this part, but I think most of the sections have got some music in them. So I'm going to find a little bit of music playing and try to figure out how to describe the music. So there's some music in this little section here, and I would describe that music as eerie or maybe mysterious. So I'm going to go to my PowerPoint and I can just copy. So I'm hitting Control C and then Control V to copy that text box, keeping all the same formatting, but this time I'm describing the music. So you could call it eerie music, for instance. And just to differentiate the different labels, so this one's describing music, I might just change the formatting a little bit. So I might make the color a little bit darker. And there we are, there's eerie music. So I'm going to go through the same process of right-clicking on the border of the text box, save as picture. I've got one in there that I've used previously, so I'll just delete that one. And here we are, eerie music. Oops, accidentally opened it up. And I want that label to appear at the same time as this label identifying the shot. So I've added another video track. And remember, you do that by clicking on this menu option, go track operations and add video track. So I'm going to add that one in here. I'll find where the music begins. And it begins about there. And I'll find how long the music goes for and extend the label. And that's probably good. And then go through that process of clicking on filters plus size, position, and rotate, and putting it somewhere on the screen where it's not going to be in the way of the action. Okay. So what you can do as well with your labels is add a little fade in and fade out. So you can see as I hover my cursor just around the top corners of the labels, it gives you this little black dot which you just click and drag in, and that just makes it look a little bit nicer as it fades in and fades out.
It was midnight.
Okay, so that's the steps to complete steps 9 and 10. So there's no number of music labels that you need to identify. If you've identified just at least one mood or type of meaning that the music conveys, that's going to be enough for the task.